Yirtchet on the base. We're going back to where we left off. I thought he started by one place.
Yeah, we were.
Second parak. Started the
Yes,
second
we
parak.
were.
Right. Touch on Hanukkah a little bit or not yet? Getting close. You're closing in on it. Because Hanukkah is nearby. You're talking about wicks and oil.
Yes. But yeah, I think we were close, but not there.
Right, you were closing in on it. Okay, we are on Yudchet Beis, 18b. 18b towards the bottom. This is where we had left off. Let's see. 18b on the bottom. The page 18b3. Beishamei omrim ein mochrim. Okay, we're getting into a new topic. We had touched on it in the Mishnah, and now we're going to 8b3 on the right side. Beishamei omrim ein mochrim. The Mishnah stated there are certain things that we can't do on sales on Friday. The Beishamei had said in the Mishnah that if you make a sale on Friday and the guy comes to your house and he buys something from your house, he said you have to make sure that he has to reach his destination. The non-Jew who bought it has to reach his destination before Shabbat with the item that he bought from you. However, Beit Hillel says, we have two opinions in Beit Hillel, and Beit Hillel says as long as he leaves your house before Shabbat, that is good enough. So we'll see. The Gemara is going to elaborate on this. Let's see what the Gemara says. Tanabanan, Beishamei Omrim. Beishamei says, Ein mochrim lo yimka adam chavso lenochri. Beishamei says you cannot sell an item to a Gentile unless v'lo yashilenu. Not only you can't sell, you can't lend him an item that he has to return, or v'lo yalvenu, you can't lend him money. You can't lend them an item. Item is called she'ilah because you return the item. You want to lend them a plow, whatever you want to lend him, or you want to lend them money. You cannot give an item to a Gentile as a gift. Ella that the non-Jew should reach his house, the non-Jew's home, before Shabbat. If he does not reach his house before Shabbat, it's a problem. Now the question: what's the problem? If I gave the non-Jew a plow as a gift, or I gave him money, I lent him $100. Why do and I even if I sell him something, I sold him something. Why is it that the item that I sold him, he bought the item from me, has to be able to carry the item and reach his destination before Shabbat? What's the concern? So Rashi says, even though the non-Jew, when he is carrying the item on Shabbat, he is carrying it for his own purpose. I sold him the item. I sold him the plow. He wants to, whatever. It's nothing to do with me anymore. I'm not involved. I lent him the money. What does it have to do with me? I lent him the money. So now it's his money. Now, but he carries the money on Shabbat, right? That's the non-Jew is carrying it because he wants to carry it. I didn't tell him to carry it. I lent him the money. He wants to throw the money in the air, dig it in the ground, put it in the ground, hide, whatever he wants to do with it. What's the issue? So Rashi says the issue is because it has an appearance of maybe he's my agent. It would seem that the concern is that it looks like he's acting on my behalf. So that would be a marit ayin issue. It's looking like he's doing something, he's acting on my behalf to carry this plow, or he's my agent with the money to go take the money somewhere. So therefore it looks like he's carrying it to me on Shabbat. And therefore, Beit Shammai says, you can't do it because of this concern of maritime. We don't do things in a way. The group got it. They received your message. Usually the people were on during the week. Have they been on a lot? Okay. So that's, we don't do things. We don't walk into McDonald's. You want to go ahead and I want to buy a Coca-Cola, right? So Coca-Cola is kosher, but I don't walk into McDonald's to buy a Coca-Cola because when you walk in McDonald's, the appearance is what generally people walk into McDonald's, they're buying not kosher food. That's the norm of going into McDonald's. So therefore, we don't walk into McDonald's to buy a kosher can of soda, right? Mr. Haber, is that correct or not? So, and then similarly over here, don't do something that has the appearance that Jewish law is not being followed, that you're not keeping the law. Don't do things like that. Well, Beit Hillel Omrim, Beit Hillel says, Kidei sheyagia lebayit hasamuch lechoma. Beit Hillel says, as long as the non-Jew could reach the first house in the city where the non-Jew lives, inside the wall of the city that the non-Jew lives, that's good enough. Because really, then everybody knows, let's say the non-Jew is going to be, continues walking with it. If he's acting as the agent of the Jew, so he could really put it down, he could put it safe, ready to put it in a house next to once it's in a safe place. But the fact that he's continue walking, so that then people will say that he's doing more because of his convenience, for non-Jewish convenience. So that's so the commentary says, since the place that the non-Jew is going so some explain that they explain it this way, that if let's say he bought the item from the Jew 20 minutes before sunset. And if he could reach, it's possible the Efshad place that it's possible that the guy is going to go to we know he's going to take it to his city, but he could take it to anywhere in the city. He could take it to his house. He could take it to the house closest to the wall. The guy could put it anywhere. Many people don't actually know where the guy is going. He's going to his city, but he's going to his city. Maybe he's going to his house. Maybe he's going to a store. Maybe he's going to deliver it to someone, to the first house that's in the city. So as long as there's enough time that when you make the sale now, it's 20 minutes before Shabbat. I want to know, can I sell this item to the non-Jew? Now, if his house is 30, if the city where he lives is 30 minutes away, I wouldn't be able to, according to this opinion, even according to Beit Hillel, we're going to see there's going to be another opinion of Beit Hillel. I can't sell him the item 30 minutes before Shabbat, 20 minutes before Shabbat if it's a 30-minute trip to get to his house, to his city. Because he's going to go to a city. He's going to a city, and in order to reach his city, it will take him more than 20 minutes. But if his city is 20 minutes away, that's good enough. Once you can reach his city, doesn't make a difference anywhere in the city, because maybe that's where he's going. Maybe who knows which house in the city he's going to, and therefore, if you're selling it 20 minutes before Shabbat, and the guy could reach his city 20 minutes before Shabbat, so no one's going to say that he's an agent of the Jew to carry on Shabbat when he could already reach his city. When he could already reach his city already before Shabbat. So as long as he could reach the city before Shabbat, people will say, he's not going to be carrying. He's not going to carry on Shabbat for the Jew. But if he can't reach his city by Shabbat, then people might say he's carrying for the Jew. That is this understanding. However, Rabbi Akiva says all these cases, it's permitted. Meaning the Rabbi Akiva says, even if the non-Jew lives a half hour away, an hour away, 10 hours away, I don't care if he lives 20 hours away, and he's going to be going on a long trip. As long as he leaves your house, you the Jew, before Shabbat, he left before sunset, you're good. You're good. We don't have to be, he's not concerned. He doesn't think people are going to say that that the guy is acting as your agent. Because what at the end of the day is, yes, it's true. The non-Jew walked out of your house with a plow. He came out of your house with a utensil. But the item that he came out of your house with, he could have bought from you. And he's not, and the fact that he's carrying it out, he leaves your house 5 minutes before sunset. So he's not concerned that people are going to say he's acting as you, the Jewish agent. Rather, maybe you bought it. Maybe people see the guy carrying out of the house. You see a guy going out with a bundle from the guy's house. You're not worried that maybe he's acting as an agent that the Jew sent him to work for him. Rather, you're just doing it for maybe you bought it, which actually happened, meaning because you actually did buy it. So he's not, the only time we're concerned that you look like an agent of the owner of the Jew is when you leave the Jew's house on Shabbat with the item from the Jew. So that looks like I gave it to you on Shabbat. I asked you to do something for me on Shabbat. So therefore, you would not, if a non-Jew would come over to your house on Shabbat, unless you have a non-Jewish neighbor and he asks you to borrow something and he's going to be taking it out into the street, so that should be a problem. Because it looks like he is, even though he is borrowing it from you, and he's not acting as your agent, but if he's borrowing it from you on Shabbat, then we'll look into the halacha about that issue, that it might look like he's acting as your agent. That's why in halacha I was looking up a little, there's this past Pesach, when Pesach came out on Motzei Shabbat. Saturday night was Pesach. So Shabbat was Erev Pesach. So we had there was a whole issue what to do with, you're going to make an early meal Shabbat morning. And that early meal Shabbat morning will be, let's say many people had chametz in the early meal, and they had to finish eating the meal by, let's say, 10, 12, let's say. So let's say you're with a lot of people. And you buy a certain amount of challah before Pesach. So you might say that if you have a lady who's not Jewish in the house, right? So a person, let's say if they'll have a cleaning lady in the house, let's say the cleaning lady was going to come to the house from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And let's say she was going to leave it around, again, you had to stop eating the chametz by around 10, 12, but you have another hour or so to get rid of the chametz, right? To flush it down the toilet, whatever you need to go ahead and do with that extra chametz, right? To get rid of the chametz. So let's say you're going to go ahead and give it morning. You're going to give that chametz to the non-Jew. So a person might say, I have an easy way to deal with it. What do I do with my extra chametz? The cleaning lady is leaving at around 10:30. I have to get rid of the chametz by 11 something. I'll give her all the extra chametz, and she'll take it with her. Yeah. So in halacha, there's a whole issue about that, because if I give her more than what she could eat herself, if I give her a substantial amount, then it looks like she's acting as my agent. She's carrying out of the house. She's doing a malacha on Shabbat of carrying all this chametz, which is not, if let's say I give her an amount for herself, let's say I give her one portion of chametz. So now if she carries it outside, so it looks like she's carrying it for her own purpose, let's say, right? Not for me. It's hers. She wants to eat it. She's carrying outside. Why is she carrying outside? It's her food. I gave her chametz. She has it. But if I give her enough chametz for what? For many people to eat, I think the halacha makes that distinction that maybe that would be a problem. I can't give that cleaning lady all that amount of chametz. I gave it for 10 people. We had left over for 5. You have enough for 5 people. I've left over chametz because you had a lot of people in the house, and so many people didn't eat the chametz. You overbought the challah rolls or whatever it was. But if you're going to give her all that chametz to take outside into public domain to carry, right? If she's going to carry into a public domain, we're getting into problems. What's the problem? It appears that she is carrying it, acting as my agent in doing this malacha, this act of carrying on Shabbat. Like it looks like she works for me. She's doing, and what does it look like she's doing? She's carrying, carrying my food for me. So if I gave it to her before Shabbat, let's say that I give the non-Jew comes to my house before Shabbat, and I give her all the chametz before Shabbat. I give her before Shabbat. As long as she leaves my house before Shabbat, no problem, Beit Hillel says. The only problem Beit Hillel says if they leave on Shabbat. Beit Shammai says even if they left before Shabbat, there's a problem. She has to reach his actual home before Shabbat. That's Beit Shammai. The guy has to reach his destination before Shabbat. Beit Hillel, we have 2 versions of Beit Hillel we're going to see. One version of Beit Hillel is that he just has to leave my house before Shabbat. That's it. It doesn't make a difference how long it will take. Or he has to leave my house with enough time to reach the first home in his city of the Gentile. That's a more stricter opinion in Beit Hillel. That's what the Gemara is going to say over here. Because Rabbi Akiva Omer, enough time to leave the entrance of your house. Amar Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda says, now, see, the way it's presented, the Braita presented 3 opinions, right? First opinion, Beit Shammai says the guy has to reach the guy's own house before Shabbat in order for you to sell or lend or give a gift to him of anything that he's going to come to carry. If he's going to carry it on Shabbat at any time, it's no good because it looks like he's carrying for you. He has to reach his own house before Shabbat. To reach his own house before Shabbat, there's no carrying. It doesn't look like he's carrying on your behalf. He's reaching because it's no issue with Shabbat. He reaches the day before Shabbat. Is that clear or not clear? The second opinion says the guy has to reach the guy's first house in the guy's city. And the third opinion of Beit Hillel, the third opinion of Rabbi Akiva says, as long as the Gentile left the Jew's house, that's good enough. Comes Amar Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says, it looks like Rabbi Akiva is arguing on Beit Hillel. But Beit Hillel said the non-Jew has to reach the first house in the non-Jewish city. And Rabbi Akiva says, no, you have to just leave the Jewish home. It looks like Rabbi Akiva is arguing on Beit Hillel. So comes the rabbi and says, no. Rabbi Akiva is saying he understands Beit Hillel differently. Meaning there's 2 different opinions of what Beit Hillel says. It's not that Rabbi Akiva is a new opinion and he's disagreeing with Beit Hillel. Because, by the way, that would mean generally the law would follow Beit Hillel, I would think, usually. Usually Beit Shammai still Beit Hillel. We have to see what the law is when Beit Hillel against Rabbi Akiva. But he's saying that Rabbi Akiva is not a new opinion on the block. Meaning he's a different opinion, but not an independent opinion. Rabbi Akiva is another opinion in what Beit Hillel says. There's an argument of 2 rabbis of what is the opinion of Beit Hillel. You ever hear somebody say, I feel that this rabbi said this, or someone says no, rabbi holds something else. Same rabbi, the people are saying he holds this, another rabbi said he held that. Now it's possible there were 2 times in the rabbi's life that at one point in the rabbi's life he felt a certain opinion, and it's possible that at a different time in the life the rabbi changed his opinion. It doesn't happen so often, but it does happen. So what he says over here is he says that there's 2 opinions of what Beit Hillel held. That hein, the Gemara says, hein divrei Beit Hillel, hein divrei Rabbi Akiva, hein divrei Beit Hillel. Rabbi Akiva's words are the opinion of Beit Hillel. Lo ba Rabbi Akiva el lefaresh divrei Beit Hillel. Rabbi Akiva is only coming to explain the words of Beit Hillel. What he understands is the opinion of Beit Hillel. So we have two opinions, two different opinions of what Beit Hillel actually said. So that's what the Gemara says. And if you want to take a look at the Shulchan Aruch, maybe we should take out Orach Chaim, still in Reish Mem Vav. See what the Shulchan Aruch says regarding this halacha, right? Let's take a look. Still in Reish Mem Vav, Sif Beis. Osur lahashil shum kli le'eni Yehudi. You're not allowed to lend any utensil to a non-Jew if, we'll see if, when's the problem? Even Friday, even if it's Friday, if it's close to dark, as long as there's not enough time for the non-Jew to leave the house. That's the third opinion, Rabbi Akiva's opinion. That's the halacha. As long as the non-Jew leaves your house before Shabbat, Adam, someone comes, you're selling something on, what is it, the Craig sale, or eBay, and something that people sell things online. They come to your house, you sell something, or you bring it to them, whatever it is. As a non-Jew, and he lives on the other side of town, wherever he lives, as long as he picks it up before Shabbat, he leaves your house before Shabbat. If he comes to your house before Shabbat, and then it's going to take him a certain amount of time until he has to pack it up, and say it's a bookcase or whatever. Let's say it's a bookcase or something he's buying from you, and he says, and you made the deal already. He paid you before Shabbat, but it's going to take him a little time to dismantle the bookcase. Or you're right. Your house, your apartment.
Yeah. And then he walks out with the after Shabbat, so everybody in your lobby thinks you're doing
right. Right. Exactly. But as long as he left your house before Shabbat, you're good. But if he's going to be leaving your house, your apartment, he's coming out of your door, and it's already sunset. Even though your whole dealings with him was before sunset, you weren't involved with him after sunset. He was just busy, putting things together, loading up his cart that he had in your house, whatever. You can't do it. You can't do. So it's the most lenient opinion because it says you just be out of the house. You have to be out of the house before Shabbat. So a guy's like gets out of. It's a very practical halacha that could happen in life. That people, someone that's acting morning doctor. Now, and the Chafetz Chaim says the same way you can't lend him. Kevin, it's great that you joined us. You add to our class. Every person adds holiness. And we're talking about, Kevin, that we can't lend a non-Jew a utensil on Shabbat, because even though I'm not selling it, I'm lending it, because if he's going to leave my house, if you have a non-Jewish neighbor come knocks on your door, and this is maybe a practical halakha. I wonder, it's an interesting question. The non-Jewish neighbor knocks on your door on Shabbat. And let's say you live in a place where there's no A roof. So if you place with A roof, that there shouldn't be a problem. It's no problem. Because if he's carrying it on Shabbat, he's carrying it in a place where there's an A roof, where it's permitted to carry. But if you live in a place there's no A roof, and if he's gonna walk out into the street on Shabbat with the utensil that you lent, the item thing that you lent, even if it was food. I mean, according to this, I mean, the logic is if it's gonna if it looks like it's gonna it looks like he's act. What's the issue? If he looks like he's my agent to carry for me, if he's gonna knock on my door and he wants to borrow something and he needs a corkscrew and he's carrying out in the street, he lives a block away. So it looks like he's acting as my agent to carry that corkscrew out into the public. That's what it would sound like. He has no problem carrying, but if he's carrying, but I can't ask him to carry for me. So here it has the appearance that I am asking. It says I can't lend a utensil. I'm going to give a corkscrew to the non-Jew. I can't lend it to him on Shabbat because it has an appearance. The person who sees thinks that the Jew instructed him to carry it for me. Marisai. That is the problem. And similarly, the halacha says I can't sell a non-Jew or give him a gift unless he can leave the house before Shabbat. Now, and then, okay, so let's continue in the Gemara. So the Gemara, Tana Rabbana, a new point in the Gemara, another new point. Tana Rabbana. Beishamai Omrim. And the article must probably work to the next page already, I bet. Before. Okay. Beishamai Omrim. Beishamai said, Lo yimka adam chemso lenachri. Don't sell your chametz to a non-Jew. Elim kain yodeabo. I know sheyichle kodem Pesach. I know, Mr. Haber, that the non-Jew is going to finish the chametz before Pesach. Meaning, I have a mitzvah to get rid of chametz, right? Now, we know if you go ahead and you sell the chametz to the non-Jew before Pesach, right? They usually sell the chametz. If Pesach will be tonight, excuse me, this morning they'll be selling the chametz. Erev Pesach in the morning they're selling the chametz. The guy buys the chametz. Now, does the guy have to eat the chametz? Does the chametz have to be removed from the world? No. As long as the guy bought the chametz before Pesach, what he does with the chametz, whether he decides to keep the chametz, he wants to eat it, he wants to consume it, as we all know, what do we do today? He buys the chametz, and after Pesach, we buy it back from him. So that same chametz that we sold to the guy before Pesach, good morning, Boker Tov. The same chametz that we sold to the non-Jew before Pesach is still here in the world during Pesach. It's not consumed before Pesach, but what the change is ownership. Beis Shammai has a very interesting opinion. He here says, when the Torah said, when the mitzvah of getting rid of the chametz, we'll see if this is the biblical law of Beis Shammai, rabbinic law, or at least he understands that the chametz has to be removed from the world. It cannot be in the world. Your chametz, your Yankee Doodles, I don't know, your Edmond's cake, right? I don't know if Yankee Doodles are still kosher or not. Once upon a time, they were kosher. I don't know if they still are kosher, right? But your Edmond's cakes, you gave it to me if you want to give it, you want to sell it to the guy before Pesach, you have to be that you know that it's going to be finished, it's not going to be in the world, that it's going to be consumed and gone before Pesach begins. That's not the halacha, as you know. As long as you sell it to him, it's good enough. It doesn't have to be moved from the world. But Beis Shammai says it has to be removed from the world. However, Beis Hillel says no. If you could go ahead and eat the chametz, you can eat the chametz in the fourth, let's say Erev Pesach. If tonight would be Pesach, right? Right? If tonight would be Pesach, then we would eat the chametz in the morning. We could eat chametz until 4 hours into the day. Like this year, we could eat chametz till 10, 12 in the morning. So if you could eat chametz till 10, 12, you could sell it to the guy also up to 10. The truth of the matter is, you have an extra hour. What did you say? Provided it wasn't Shabbos. Very good. Very good. He says if you could eat it until 10:12, if it's like today, this morning, you could sell it until 10:12. He's not going to finish the chametz before the time. You're giving him almost very little time for the guy to consume the chametz. It's no problem. As long as you could eat it, you could sell it. The commentaries talk about the fact that the truth of the matter is, it's not only the time that you could eat it, you could sell the chametz. You could even sell the chametz about 1 hour or so after you can't eat it anymore. Right? Correct? If today, that's why we burn the chametz. We have an extra hour or so to burn chametz more than eating. There's something called the time for eating is up at the end of 4 hours, and the time for benefiting from chametz, if you want to sell it, you want to burn, or it's still yours, you burn it, you sell it, you have an extra hour. Okay, but the bottom line is, the point is, Beitela says, chametz that you owned, you don't have to, your mitzvah, what you need to do with the chametz, you don't have to go ahead and remove the chametz from the world. It's just you cannot own the chametz. And as long as you sold it to the Gentile before Pesach, I don't care if it's still around, the chametz is still around, it's no longer your intimates. It belongs to the guy, that's enough. You don't have to do more than that. It's not that your chametz has to be removed, consumed before Pesach. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, now, Rabbi Yehuda says he's an in-between opinion. Now we are on 19A1. Rabbi Yehuda Omer. If you want to look inside, you can look inside. You want to listen to Balpeh, whatever you want. Old-fashioned, right? I'm also old-fashioned. Yehuda Omer. Kutach, the rule would be better if we go back to old-fashioned ways. I believe so. Those are greater. Tanayim are greater. You know there's a great story. Everybody likes a story. What's the great story? The story goes, Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky was on a plane. Yaakov Kamenetsky was one of the great leaders of the Ashkenaz world 40 years ago. And he had a grandson with him. And the grandson was taking such amazing care of his grandfather. Amazing honor to the grandfather. Grandfather was old at the time, right, Mr. Abram? He took care of him. And there's another elderly gentleman that said to Rabbi Kamenetsky, I don't understand. I'm old and you're old. I mean, I can't tell you exactly. I'm giving the gist what happened. I can't say exactly all the details. This is how I understand. I'm old and you're old. My grandson does not honor me the way your grandson honors you. What is the explanation why your grandson gives you such honor when my grandson doesn't? He says, because we, he says, we believe, we know that God created the world, he created man. And from the creation of man came the future generations. However, you believe in evolution. You believe you came from monkeys, apes. So when it comes to you, you are further. You are so the grandfather is closer to the monkey than the grandson. But we are closer to Adam, the first man. We are closer to humanity. The older you are, you're closer to the first person. In contrast to the people who don't believe that you came from. If you believe you came from a monkey, so the older you are, the closer you are to the monkey. That was just an interesting story. So what you were saying, Tanayim Amarayim, the earlier generation is greater. So what does he say? Kuta Habavli. Kuta Habavli is a certain dip. There's a certain dip, we eat out with today's day and age, you have a lot of dips with the food. So it's a dip that they would place chametz in the dip. And you know how it takes a long time to finish up a dip. Good morning, Boker Tov Meir. It takes a long time to finish up a dip. V'chol mine kutach, and any type of dip, you can't sell to the Gentile. He says he said you can't sell it to the guy before Pesach if it's more than 30 days before Pesach. Sorry, if it's within 30 days of Pesach. But if within 30 days of Pesach, that means the dip will still be here. You have to be concerned about chametz once you are within 30 days of Pesach. But if it's more than 30 days before Pesach, as long as you get rid of the chametz by the time Pesach comes, right? If you sold it more than 30 days before Pesach, you're fine. If you're within 30 days before Pesach, you can't sell the dip with chametz to the guy because it's going to still be around when Pesach comes. But if you sold it more than 30 days before Pesach, you sold the dip with chametz, then you're fine. Your responsibility of making sure that there's no chametz in the world that you had sold only takes place if you sell it within 30 days. So Rashi says, when we start expounding, when do we start learning the laws of Pesach? 30 days before Pesach, you're supposed to start learning the laws. So at that time, then you have to make sure that whatever chametz you sell within 30 days before Pesach has to be removed from the world. However, if you sell it more than 30 days before Pesach, you sold it 35 days before Pesach, if you sold it 35 days before Pesach, then you're good. The fact that the chametz will still be here, but since it's owned by the Gentile, it's not a problem as long as you sold it more than 30 days before Pesach. We all know there's no problem even within 30 days before Pesach, a day before, the day of, the Erev Pesach, the day in the morning before Pesach, as long as you sold it to the guy, even though the intimate is still around, you're fine, but you sold it. Okay, I want to wish everyone a great day. We'll look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow. Thank you. All the best. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Abel.
Good to see you.
Same